Hey everybody, Dean Zoo here, one-third of the Zoo Lab YouTube channel with my friends Vinny and Vanessa Science, and today we're going to talk about a zoom lens for people who hate zoom lenses. We're talking today about the Sigma 28-70 2.8 zoom lens for the L mount and for the E mount. Now, why do I love this lens? First of all, this is it. This is the zoom lens. Number one thing that stuck out with me was the size. Here's an equivalent 50mm lens. This is the 51.8, and it's not that much bigger. Ordinarily, zoom lenses get to twice the size, twice the weight, even more than a traditional prime lens. So Sigma has kind of equalized the playing field here by making a zoom lens that's about the same size of most primes. Now, even though I'm somebody that does not prefer to shoot zoom lenses, I own quite a few zoom lenses myself, both for video and for photo. You kind of have to have zoom lenses in your kit because you just can't beat their versatility. But when you're comparing it to prime lenses, one of the main things for me is the size. I prefer to shoot with primes because they are typically much smaller, and they also give you better depth of field control, meaning you can get down as low as 0.95 on some lenses. But ordinarily, even a nice kit lens will give you a 1.8 aperture, which is way better than any zoom can give you at a 2.8. Let me tell you a little history of this zoom lens for me. I actually rented this on a recent trip to Costa Rica this year with my wife and some good friends of mine. I wanted a lens that I didn't have to take off the camera because we're going to be in some harsh conditions, like say a rainforest. It's not really a place where I want to be, switching out lenses in the middle of the field and risking the sensor or the lenses getting wet, or worse, I might drop and fumble something down the side of a mountain. That's not a scenario I want to run into. Plus, I needed something that I could carry around all day long, 6, 8, 12 hours without feeling it, and definitely without something that's going to take up a lot of space in a dry bag. Well, let me just report, I was absolutely blown away by this lens. It stayed on my camera virtually the entire trip. I never had to take it off for both video and for photo. And when I got back from the trip, it became my go-to zoom lens for my kit. Now, I've shot with a lot of zoom lenses in my day. I've shot it with a lot of 24-70s, ranging from Nikon to Sony to Fujifilm equivalents to Panasonic. I even had the 24-90 Leica F2.8 to F4 lens, which is touted as probably one of the most technically perfect zoom lenses in the history of zoom lenses. I actually replaced the Leica 24-90 f2.8 to 4 with this Sigma 28-70. Now you're probably asking, why replace such a technically perfect lens with something like this? Well, nothing of it had to do with technical and everything had to do with practical. For one, the 24-90 was a massive lens. It's huge, it's loud and proud, and honestly, besides just lugging that huge lens around, it just wasn't very incognito or inconspicuous for the type of work that I do. I needed something a little bit smaller, more compact, a little bit more in the shadows. Now the zoom range going up to 90 was pretty handy, right? Well, kind of, because you had to sacrifice the aperture at f4 at its minimum just to use the 90mm focal length. In fact, that lens started creeping up the aperture as early as 35mm, and you're always fighting this battle of the aperture closing off as you got longer and longer into the zoom range. For me, I would rather just pop on my Sigma 85-1.4 and get both the low light performance and the depth of field control I'd get versus even using the 90 on the 24-90 focal length. Plus, on the shallow end, only losing 4mm, but gaining so much more portability and size. To me, in my line of work, it was a no-brainer to replace it. The snappy autofocus, the great zoom range, and a compact size, it's actually perfect for me. I do a lot of reportage photography and behind the scenes work when we're shooting cinema interviews, and having a lens that I can carry on all day, give me the zoom range of 28-70 to go wide to see the whole shot or to see the whole scene, or get a little bit tighter to get more of a portraiture feel. That's absolutely perfect for what I use this lens for. Another great little feature about this is its incredible minimum focus distance. At 28mm, you can focus as close as 0.62 feet, and at 70, you can get as close as 1.25 feet. Now, that's not macro by any stretch of the imagination, But to be able to get that close to my subject, you can create some really interesting photos by separating the background, being that close. Now this lens isn't going to win a lot of awards standing next to a bunch of other zoom lenses that are more expensive and maybe have better image quality, but for what we do in this day and age and most of our work getting published online and on social media, this thing fits the bill perfectly. That's it guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening to our review about this lens. Please drop a comment if you've used this lens or other zooms that you want to talk about and share with, and let us know of other gear that you'd want us to review and other topics that you want us to discuss on this channel. Like always, we appreciate your support, so like, share, and subscribe this video and this channel, and we will see you on the next one.